This is Dalton Castle, the Ring of Honor World Champion. Behind me is music that they do not have the license to, but you are listening to the Potsy and Tino show.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Possum Fans Network brings you as tag team champions of the world, the Road Dogg Tino Gray, the badass Rob Potsy Pochek. That's right, the Old Age Outlaws, known as the Potsy and Tino Show. And as Dalton Castle just pointed out, yes, we did not have the rights to the music that we were playing there, but we do want to thank him for that moment. We also want to thank Adam's House Cat for the wrestling song. And of course, we are sitting here live right now on both YouTube and Facebook. Tino has been sitting here talking to me about something that he said, you know what I'm talking about, and I have no idea what he's talking about. So with that said, we're going to go right into what's up with you and Tino.
There's a few things before we get into frogging.
Before we get into frogging. All right. We're obviously talking about what's up with you.
Yeah, so
what did you do?
It didn't pop.
Hold on.
I've never had that happen.
I folks, he literally has it didn't go through. I don't know how to get it. I tried. Do you want to go grab another one?
That's so fucking weird.
It didn't go in. Hold on. Push it down. Now try it again.
Oh shit, it broke. Okay.
What? They broke the fucking soda.
I've never had that happen.
I've never seen that happen.
Wow.
Folks,
we got a faulty can.
You're gonna have to contact
Mountain Dew.
Pepsi Mountain Dew Company and tell them that they sent you a defective can that would not open.
Good.
You gotta. It's probably already like stale too. Man.
So, first off, after last week's show,
can't stop.
I had to call Rob Friday. I said, "Hey, don't
yes,
be mad. Don't be mad."
So everybody remembers last week it was Dominic, who was here. By the way, before you even tell this story, I want to go ahead and say the reason why Dom was staying with me was because the other person got sick.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the other person got sick. So he didn't want to stay with them because he was going to go see his daughter.
I think's better.
So Tino, go ahead.
So I called Rob. I said, Rob. I said, no, first when I called Rob, Shorty answered the phone.
My sister answered the phone, because I was in South Carolina.
I was like, oh, fuck. So I asked her, I said, Shorty, are you here or is Rob there? No, Rob's here with us. I'm like, fuck. So she puts Rob on the phone. I'm like, hey, don't get mad. He's like, what? I took a test. I popped positive for COVID. He goes, what? No, he got silent for a second. I'm like,
I was like, I literally did this.
I'm like, are you there? He goes, yeah. So he must have said something, because all of a sudden I hear Shane in the background. I'm like, fuck you, Shane.
You actually said that too. Yeah, fuck you, Shane. But
I felt bad, man. Because
you should.
Shut up, bitch.
Well, not for me, but because Dom literally stayed with me to prevent his daughter from getting.
That makes it even better. But, so here's the thing. So what was it? The week before, the reason why we didn't do the show is because I'd gone to New York with Nicole because it was her grandmother's 90th birthday.
Right.
And while we were up there, my mother-in-law was coughing, but we're like, maybe it's allergies, you know, with the weather change and all that stuff. Because we got up there, it was cold.
Yep.
So I'm like, all right.
No big deal.
No big deal. So Monday, I was like,
I got a scratchy throat.
Yeah, scratchy throat. But you know, when you first start getting a cold, you get that scratchy throat and stuff like that.
Nothing to worry about.
So Tuesday, I was like, okay, let's go. I'm all right, man. You know, because I've been drinking the vitamin C shit, the emergency.
Yeah.
And then Wednesday it started. I'm like, oh. And then Thursday the headache started. I'm like, well, it's probably okay. So I'm
just a headache.
I'm probably getting a cold. You know, that's all I thought. It's a cold. I got the scratchy, sore throat, and then it's a fucking cold. And my wife's like, no. She goes, well, a couple of my coworkers, you know, they've had COVID. Well, no, this is like weeks before.
Right.
And then her best friend's boyfriend had COVID. I'm like, well, it's a cold. I'll take that because we got all the home tests. I'll take it. Yeah, pop positive. So
now, folks, just so everybody knows, 10 o'clock Friday morning. So we did our show Thursday night. 10 o'clock Friday morning. Dom and I go and we have breakfast.
I feel bad
and you know, he's getting ready to drive back up to New York, but he's going to go see his daughter before he does it. Whatever, blah blah blah. So I said, hey, let's go do something I know you can't do in New York. Let's go to Bojangles. And he goes, oh shit, man! Like, of course you had to say like the one thing that I know I can't do, like, because Dom's been eating healthy and all this other stuff, and I'm like, I know you don't want Bojangles, and he's like,
no.
Oh, I could totally go for some Bojangles fries. So we drive all the way to Bojangles. We get breakfast. We eat whatever. Now I want to go ahead and I'll put myself on the line here, okay? Like I'll sit here and give a little funny. I ordered, you know, because they like for those that aren't in North Carolina, Bojangles typically does a 2 for something special. Yeah. So it's like 2 sausage biscuits for this price, or sausage and egg biscuits for this price.
Pork chop biscuits, those are my shit.
See, I like the sausage biscuits. So they're doing the 2 sausage biscuits for like $4. Now I remember it used to be 2 sausage biscuits for $2. Yep. But now it's 2 for $4. And I was like, ooh, can I add sausage? Can I add egg and cheese to them? So it's 2 sausage, egg, and cheese biscuits. And let me go ahead and get the combo. So it's like $7.50 for breakfast. It's still not bad, but it's like 3 times what it used to cost to get that, right? And like,
they didn't charge you to put the egg and the cheese on there?
No, they did it, but it was like $7.69 for 2 of them with everything. Yeah. So anyways, I grab my meal, whatever. Dom sits there, he orders whatever he's having. I don't even remember. It was like 1 sausage and egg biscuit and blah blah blah. Yeah, he's trying to be a little bit healthier, whatever. But he did order the fries because he was like, you know, that's what I came here for.
Cajun fries,
yeah. And he looked at me and he goes, you didn't ask for any Cajun seasoning? I was like, I just took what they gave me. Like, I didn't.
Yeah, the phobia's extra.
Yeah. You know what? I really don't care for it.
I don't either.
Like, I'd rather just get the plain ones and then pour salt on them. That works for me. Anyways, so I sit there and I eat the first biscuit. I'm like, I got a rumbly in the tumbly.
Oh, shit.
And he goes, you got your shit? I'm like, could probably make it home. And he starts going, Rob,
you need to go right now.
You're at that age.
Yep.
Where like as soon as you know,
don't trust a fart.
That there's a rumbly in the, it wasn't even a fart yet, but you got a rumbly in the tumbly. It's one of those things where you got to sit there and make that decision. Where like, can I make it the 15 minutes back down the road?
Nope.
Or do I go now?
Yep.
Because like, and folks at our age, and we see all the comments already. Great legends in the audience. Last week also had the 240p apparently.
The what?
He said Mario 8-bit. Wait, what does Great Legend say? Mario 8-bit looks better than. Are we having really bad internet connection? I apologize if we are, folks.
I That was what I said.
That's what Great Legend's talking about. He's saying that our connection isn't great. Whatever. It's not about the graphics, right? We're not a video game. But anyway, I go, you know what? I'm gonna take shit. But if I hadn't taken the shit, like it would have been one of those things where I would have made it 10 of the 15 minutes down the road. And that other 5 minutes would have been like, oh, you're almost there.
Yep.
Time to drop.
Yep.
Like, what is that, dude?
So the closer you get to home, I think your body knows.
Like, your body knows. But why?
I don't know.
And why is it that it's like, oh my God, I'm almost there. Oh, no. Like, what is it? You've been there.
Yep. Knock my kids down. Move, bitch. Get in the bathroom. Get in the house.
You know the worst part is that, like, if your bathroom's upstairs.
Oh, thank God. Yeah.
And and mine's right there, right? But, like, what if you got to run upstairs?
You're going to shit yourself.
You're not even just going to shit. You're going to shit all over the steps.
Yep.
Like it's just done. Luckily, I went while I was at the Bojangles. Worst toilet paper ever. What is it with the... So okay.
Oh, shit.
Second worst toilet paper ever. And here's why. Because it was the sandpaper that you get at all those places. Yeah. But it was 2-ply.
2-ply sandpaper.
So I sat there and folks, I don't know if you've done this before, right? Like you had to go.
Yes.
At one of these, and you knew the toilet paper was like the shittiest toilet paper ever. What do you do when you do it? Wrap it 6-7 times.
Your finger go do it.
But you wrap it around 6-7 times, right? And you sit there and you wipe, and when you do it, half the time you still touch your hand. He's like, yep. He's like, yep. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. Great Legend. I keep seeing PM. Are you saying private message? Because I'm not getting any private messages. But yeah. So of course I drop Dom back at the house afterwards, and I'm like, my stomach still hurts. Because I ate another biscuit after that. And he's like, you're going to have to stop like 6 times on the way down there. And I'm like, no, I won't. And he goes, are you sure? I was like, yes. And he's like, why? And I said, because I have dude wipes. So I'm not using their toilet paper.
Okay.
In fact, I have mint chill dude wipes. So if you get that burn or whatever and something's not feeling it, cools it right off and you're normally good. So my nephew, by the way, sat there and said, Uncle Shane, why do you have mint chill flavored dude wipes? Flavored?
This is bitch eating them.
And we were like, did you lick them? Like, what the fuck, man? Like, and he's like, no. And I was like, well, they're not flavored. Now, in his defense, by the way, they actually do say they have tea extract and all this other, like, so you're like, why couldn't somebody lick one of those? But
let's not say we did.
But I said, but in essence, still not good. I can't come up with a good.
No.
Do not eat the dude wipes.
No.
They are not. They're plant extracts. They're made from plant-based fibers. But don't eat the dude wipes, folks. Don't eat them. So what else is going on with you, Tino? Go get a soda if you're ready to get up. Like maybe another one will actually let you open it.
But So we're talking about the shows we were watching. And I'm like, yeah, I'm watching a show about frogging. He said,
Frogging.
Frogging. You know what frogging is for real?
Catching frogs?
No.
What?
When you have a house and someone is secretly living in your house, like in a closet, in a crawl space, in an attic, it's frogging. P-H-R-O-G-G-I-N.
What?
Yeah. So they got this whole show, and I'm like, the fuck? How do you not know? But yeah, these motherfuckers are living in their fucking world. And I'm like, dude.
And there's a show with the girl from Poker Face on that?
No, that's Russian.
Oh, Russian. That would have been even funnier.
Yeah, no, this show's like just different. They tell different people tell their stories of you know.
Of frogging in other people's houses?
No, of people frogging in their house.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yes, I'm like.
Oh, so they don't talk to the froggers. They talk to the froggies.
Yeah, the froggers usually got arrested or they run away.
Gotcha.
It's just, I was like, how do you...
Legend, have you ever heard about this? Can't post comments to some destinations. I don't know, whatever. Why does it keep saying PM on his? It says LOLOLOLOLOL.
I don't know. But it's on Hulu.
Oh, it's on Hulu.
Yeah, but they, you know, Lifetime also has this like they'll do stuff like, yeah, frogging. I've been watching this. It's like, yeah, they're just living in people's houses.
What the fuck are you what? Dude, you're gonna wake up one day and one of them's gonna be living in one of your closets.
Oh, shoot. That's my thing. Like, hello, is anybody down here? Like this one dude, he went down in his crawl space. He saw the dude. He said, "Fuck that," and he backed out and called the cops. I'm like, he had a gun. Shoot that bitch in the ass and then call the cops. Because by the time the cops get there, dude's gonna be gone.
Don't even shoot him in the ass. Shoot him in the face.
Something.
Like if they're in your house, that's legal, right? You can do that.
So this one
North Carolina.
One of the funny problems, like they had this big ass house, it's like 48,000 square feet, and the chick and the daughter had her room was huge, had a walk-in closet, huge walk-in closet, and had her own little big ass bathroom. So she's gonna take a shower, and she was in her closet, and the dude just like, I don't know where he was hiding. She said he just fell. He's like, and looked at her, and she screamed. He said, "Don't be scared, little girl," and she ran screaming.
Great legend. Not sure. I'm such a noob when it comes to technology. I'm just ready for Jesus to rapture me off this planet during the great disappearance happening this fall. That just sounds like a bad TV show, Legend.
Wow.
Coming this fall. Get raptured by Jesus and all of that. He said, I'm going to be off planet in heaven. Okay, Legend, that's not happening, brother. Hey, you know, one of these weeks you're going to have to be on the show. Legend's cool. You'd like him. So what else is going on with you?
I was watching Frogging. And,
Is that it? I was watching Frogging.
Yeah, just trying to
Playing any good video
get back.
games?
No, but that's why I text you because I keep seeing shit about that new Mortal Kombat. I'm like, before I buy, that's why I'm like, have you heard or seen this? Because I don't want to waste money and then be pissed off.
It'll be good. So everybody out there, I see that we have some people in the audience. If you've heard anything about Mortal Kombat 1, please let us know. From what I've heard, the reason why it's called Mortal Kombat 1 is because
it's a reset.
It's because at the end of the last one, Mortal Kombat 11, they went back in time to the beginning before it all started, and that caused them to basically start it over.
Okay.
But because it's Mortal Kombat, and Ed Boon, the creator of the series, is like us, he sees a lot of shit that he really likes, and he's like happy with it and wants to be part of it. So if you buy like the season pass for it, you also you've watched Invincible, so you get Omni-Man.
Yeah.
You also get Homelander.
Oh shit.
On top of getting them, the joke was always Do you remember the old Street Fighter movie? Well, who played Guile?
Rob Van Dam.
No, close. Van Damme is correct, but not Rob Van Dam.
Oh, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Jean-Claude Van Damme. Well, everybody always said he should play Johnny Cage, right? So now he is
Johnny Cage.
If you buy the extra content.
Got it.
Like Jean-Claude Van Damme as a alternate version of Johnny Cage. But he actually has like the Jean-Claude Van Damme kicks and everything else.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
I'm thinking about, like I said, I never really, like I said, I'm a shooter kind of guy. I've never really played anything like that. But
I am not a fighter game guy.
how do you play wrestling?
Well, I sometimes, but even that, like I've got the AEW game and I'm ready to trade it in.
I don't play that shit.
I'm ready to trade it in and put it towards Spider-Man 2, right? Because that comes out on the 20th of October. But I already have another game that I really want to play on October 27th. Alan Wake 2.
Okay.
Now, have you ever played Alan Wake?
I never heard of it.
Okay. So last month, it was one of the free games on PlayStation Plus. It was the remastered version on PlayStation. It was the PS4 version, but you can play it on PS5. Bullshit, whatever. Whole game. You ever watched a movie called Secret Window?
Yes, Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Love that movie.
Where he plays the Stephen King style. Well, actually, it was based on a Stephen King story, but he plays a writer that all of a sudden everything that he was writing was coming true, right? So Alan Wake is pretty much the same thing. The difference is Alan Wake didn't realize he wrote this. So he goes on this adventure and starts finding manuscript pages. And the entire world around him starts going crazy because everything that he wrote is coming true.
Okay.
Well, the game was made in 2010. And at the end of the game, he basically writes himself into like a no-win situation. And he says something like, I didn't realize that it wasn't just a lake. It was an ocean. And the game ends. And you're like, what the fuck? Right? Like, because you just went through this whole thing. Then they came out with this thing on Xbox called, because originally it was an Xbox exclusive game, but then they came out with this little thing called Alan Wake's American Nightmare. And when you played that, you met this guy named Mr. Scratch. Mr. Scratch was basically like an alternate version of Alan Wake, the writer.
All right.
And he said that he was going into the real world and forcing Alan Wake to stay in this like bullshit, like crazy world, right? So the writer was going to be replaced with a character from his writing.
Right.
So I played through all that because I was like, okay, you know, I'll play through Alan Wake. I'll play through this. Love both the games. They're fucking great. Well, the guy that made the games, his name's Sam Lake. By the way, he was the guy that created Max Payne. And in fact, when you play the first two Max Payne games, his face is the face of Max Payne.
Okay.
And in all the games, he's always a character in it because they couldn't afford to hire actors.
Yeah.
So they would just have him be one of the players in it, right? Well, they started doing other games. So Microsoft, after making Alan Wake and Alan Wake's American Nightmare, hired them to do a game called, and I'll try to make this as fast as possible, folks. They hired them to make a game called Quantum Break. And it had Shawn Ashmore, who played Iceman in the X-Men movies.
All right.
It also had Aidan Gillen, who played Littlefinger in Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Whole premise of that game was that Aidan Gillen creates something that allows him to time travel. Sean Ashmore's character realizes that he fucked something up and he tries to sit there and go back in time to fix all of it. And there's a lot of things that, like, you end up getting superpowers that allow you to sit there and, like, move time and do all this cool stuff. But what's really interesting about it is within the first 10 minutes of playing the game, you're walking through a college campus and you see this big screen TV and you click on the button and it tells you, like, what's going on in Alan Wake's universe. Right?
Okay.
So it's all tied together. Well, then in 2019, they came out with a game called Control. And it's all basically like this weird building in New York City that you can't find unless you're trying to find it, called the Department of Control. I don't really, like, it doesn't really make sense. But you go into the building and they keep finding these objects, and these objects allow them to basically enter into another universe, right? Well, what was Alan Wake? Alan Wake was entering another universe.
Okay.
Right? So I played the entire game, Tino. The whole time, folks, I'm literally playing this game going, when am I going to find the thing that connects it to Alan Wake? Right?
Right.
10 minutes before I finish the game, I find one little piece of paper that I pick up, and it explains that Alan Wake, who disappeared 10 years ago, one of the things that he picked up may have been the same type of thing that opens up areas into the other universe.
Okay.
So it totally connects. Now I find out today, by the way, I was out, started reading about it. All these things are starting to talk about Alan Wake 2 because the game's coming out next month. And one of the things I read is, if you played the extra content for Control, they had something called the AWE, which is the Alan Wake Experience, which I did not play yet. So guess what I'm doing starting tomorrow? I will be after I watch all the shows that I watched that come out on Friday, including Gen V, which we'll talk about in a second. But Alan Wake 2, apparently, is two parallel stories going on, and the company even said, we wanted to make the longest game we've ever actually made, so we created something that happens in the real world, trying to figure out what happened to a character by the name of Alex Casey, who is played by Sam Lake, the same guy that played Max Payne, as well as the guy who plays Alan Wake. And then all of a sudden the stories are supposed to converge at some point during that, and that lets you play through the rest of the story. That comes out October 27th. I'm super excited because, like, I just love that game.
Okay.
And you knew exactly what movie I was talking about, so you kind of you kind of get why I'd be really excited about it.
I love that movie.
Last two things I want to talk about, like, when it comes to what's up with us, real quick. October 14th, 15th, I'll be in Fayetteville Comic-Con. I'm a mainstay there. I'm pretty excited to be at that one. November 3rd and 4th at NC Comic-Con, I will be at that show as well. So this week we go to solicitation with Zor.
Sweet.
Which means it will be out 4 months from then. So it will be out in February of next year. That basically means that we've done some pretty cool stuff to get that ready. I did reach out to one of the biggest charitable services out there that is really just about giving to the services that they do. All right. I'll go ahead and I'll say it here because while we have an audience, we don't have a huge audience that will, like, blow this out of proportion. I came up with the idea of doing a specialized cover that all the proceeds, every dollar that comes in from it. So after we make our money back on what it costs to make that cover, right? Every dollar that comes in will go to charity from that specific cover, because the whole book is based on a little girl that loses her mom.
Right.
We never explain how she loses her mom. So I was like, what if we do it for like cancer charity or something? And suddenly I get, oh, let's do Susan G. Komen. Let's do this. Let's do that. 9 out of every 10 cancer charities do everything that they do and give the money to the law offices for any legal interaction that's going on. I don't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. So folks, when you start hearing me talk about Zor, this book is really about trying to make people feel right. But on top of that, I didn't want to do a charitable thing that goes to lawyers. I wanted it to go directly to what the charity is about. So when I started looking them up and everything else, I was like, you know what? I know St. Jude gives directly to all that. There's some stuff out there where St. Jude, like every Christmas, you walk into a Best Buy, you walk into a GameStop, you walk, and they're always going, hey, you want to give $1 to St. Jude? You want to do this to St. Jude? And it's like, okay, that's a bit much. We're doing this, and I don't have St. Jude's approval yet, so I can't say we're doing St. Jude. But what I can say is when it comes out, there will be a specific cover that if your comic shop gets, every dollar that goes to that cover will be specifically given to a charity that 100% of the proceeds go directly to the cause. How awesome is that?
Nice. I like that.
Have you ever heard that?
No.
Anybody out there, Legend, Michael, Chris Barrett, anybody out there in the audience, have you ever heard of a comic sitting there like that? We don't know if it's going to make money. We don't know, but we're literally saying we want to do something so special that we're going to do that. And if it means that there's a bigger audience because more comic shops buy that version of the comic, how awesome is that?
I like that. That's cool.
Like, I've never heard of any comic doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, like, my publisher's already okayed it, everything else. We just have to get the approval from whoever we're going through, right? Now, granted, this book is going to solicitation next week, which means we might not have the approval to sit there and say St. Jude. I'm hoping St. Jude sits there and gives us the approval. If they do not, I will find a cancer charity that directly goes to helping the people and not the political side of all that shit. I mean, they'd be a good one too. The thing is that like while I was thinking about all this, I wasn't reaching out to them, and that's on me. I should have been doing that, and I'm a little disappointed in myself for not doing that. But at the same time, I didn't think it'd be this difficult. I didn't think there'd be like a whole process to. But yes, there is. And I should have known that because I did something for Make-A-Wish like 5 years ago when I first started, and I did the 24-hour comic day, and I got Make-A-Wish to actually approve me sitting there being at a comic book shop for 24 straight hours drawing a comic book.
I think I vaguely remember that.
I was so tired. I was up for like 46 straight hours at that point because I was up, drove all the way to the comic shop, did the 24 hours, and then couldn't sleep when I drove all the way home.
Where was the comic shop? Was that out of town?
That was in Rocky Mount. Yeah. I don't go to that comic shop
What's that?
anymore or anything.
Doing a pay-per-view too. That one you watched?
It was the first time they did the. It's funny you said it. It's the first time that they did the Saudi Arabia thing, which started at like 4 a.m. So I was able to stay awake because I was watching from 4 a.m. to like 9 a.m. when they did like Super Showdown or some crazy shit. It was probably the greatest Royal Rumble.
Is that where
It was the one where they had the Titus slide and the 50 people in the Royal Rumble. Yeah. Funny enough. Michael says, I remember that. Yes, in Rocky Mountain. Yes, it was the pay-per-view. Yeah, Michael, absolutely. I went in. The shop actually approved, hey, we'll open up at like 11:30 at night and you will be there from midnight to midnight. And I was, dude. And oh my God, because I couldn't sleep throughout the day. So I was up. I drove all the way out there. I was fine. And the only thing that kept me awake was watching that WWE because and for those that don't know, the book that I ended up drawing, the only comic book that I have officially drawn myself, I drew at that event. And what it was I did the Halloween special for Junior High Horrors when I was there. And I like the way that 24-hour comic day worked is that you're not supposed to have anything in mind. And when you show up, you say, okay, I'm starting now and I'm ending 24 hours later. And I have to have a 22-page comic book with a cover and everything done. And I walked in and I was like, all right, I know exactly what I want to do. Let's go ahead and do this. And I knocked out the 24. What's funny is I was ahead of pace. I had like 8 pages done in the first 4 hours. I was like, yeah, this is going to be great. We're going to be good. We're good. And then I started watching the WWE pay-per-view because I was falling asleep. And I'm like, oh, my God, I'm so tired, blah, blah, blah. Michael knows. He was there. And then I was like, all right. I haven't done a single splash page yet. Do you know what a splash page is? Splash page is when it's one image on the page. So it's almost like drawing another cover in the comic book, but it's an interior page that's just one image. I was like, I haven't done a single one of those yet. I'll do one of those. So I sat there and I drew one of those. And then I was like, and I'll tell you, I'm fast, folks, when it comes to drawing comic book images. You've seen me. You sit there and you go, how the fuck did you do? I sit there, knock it out, whatever. But when you're trying to come up with an entire comic book and actually write it, draw it, do everything, and letter it, I'm sitting there going, I probably fell asleep a couple times, like really trying to do it. Finally got the whole thing done. And I think I had like an hour and a half to spare. And I was like, and we actually, at that comic shop, we actually earned like $700 for Make-A-Wish. Because every purchase, some portion of it went to that. Every page I finished could actually be like people would actually be able to kind of like when you do like a specialty walk or whatever, you're able to like say, hey, for every mile you do, you get this. So for every page I finished, people were able to like put money towards it or whatever. And then everything I made, I just said, hey, here, put it towards it, whatever. And then the comic shop, I think everything that they earned while it was not regular hours, they put towards it too. So it was really cool. I think we earned $700 to go towards Make-A-Wish that night. I was really proud of it. But I don't think I'll ever do it again. I don't think I could write another comic book in 24 hours and draw it. But that ended up becoming the book. We sent it off to Billy Parker, who is the writer of D Ward and colorist of Kid Slapshot, as well as colorist and anchor of Junior High Horrors. And he inked it, colored it, and literally made it a legitimate comic book. And that was the one that we gave away as the Halloween Comic Fest book, like 3 years ago, I think, at this point. But it did 30,000 units.
Wow.
And that's the only, like, that's my comic book. I wrote it, I drew it, and Billy inked it and colored it, and lettered it, like re-lettered it, so it was actually like official. First book that they ever had on Halloween, Comic Fest Day, which is a kind of like free comic book day, but at Halloween time. The only book that they ever did during that was dyslexia friendly. So
Cool.
So now, years later, here we are trying to figure out like what's coming next. Anyways, sorry, took way too long with that story. Tino, lots of crazy stuff happened in the world of wrestling this week. Not really, but
Well, then they canceled Heels, which I don't like because it got good. It's like I can't feel my legs. Like, oh shit, now this bitch is paralyzed.
so Tino's actually giving you guys the ending of Heels.
Well, if you haven't watched it,
if you haven't watched it, it's been 2 weeks. He gave you plenty of time. But it came out like Wednesday that they canceled it.
Why did they? I didn't see why they.
So there's a couple of reasons. Number one reason is it didn't get the ratings they wanted. But
It's fucking stars.
Yes. But the problem wasn't because it was on Stars. The problem is because of the writer's strike and the actor's strike. The strike, and this is something that, Stephen Amell was actually like yelled at when he came to Raleigh. And they asked him, they said, what do you think about the strike? And he said, we shouldn't be striking because we can't talk about our product. And what started the last week of July? Heels, season 2. So he was not allowed to talk about the product. So he wasn't able to sit there and say, go watch it. It's really good. Because Tino, it was really fucking good.
God, this actually, I'm like, this is the last episode already. It's one of those. It's like every week, and you're like, I'm like, this is it.
I messaged Tino at 1:00 in the morning after he left here, and I sat there and said, I know you're probably asleep at this point, but I just gotta say, fuck Heels for ending on that kind of cliffhanger at, like on episode 8. Like, where's my 13 episodes? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I thought it was shorter this season.
It was 8 episodes.
Knew it was shorter.
And it was like, I think it was 10 episodes season 1, but it was 8 episodes season 2. And I hate that about a lot of shows because I always say this. In fact, you guys probably heard me mention Gen V, which started an hour and a half ago at this point. Like, you can go on Amazon right now and watch it. Don't stay with us. But the thing is that every show on Amazon that's 8 episodes, you get 6 episodes of not a goddamn thing. And then you get 2 episodes of holy shit. And it's not always like that. Like The Boys season 3, the very first episode of season 3, like they sit there and they make you go, holy shit, right at the beginning. And there's something that happens in every episode, but it's 8 episodes and it all comes crashing down in the last episode. This season of Heels, I kind of felt that way, except I sat there and I totally told Tino, I sent him a text message right after I was like, that episode just fucking wrecked me. Like, I was bawling, dude. I don't even remember what episode it was. It was probably like episode 6. Like, there was
when the dad gave him the script and
yes,
that one,
so there was an episode where Wild Bill, played by
I remember
something name. Bauer.
Yeah.
Can't remember what his first name is, but like probably the most well-known actor on the show, sits there and Jack and Ace Spade's dad sits there and goes to him and says, hey, it's really good seeing you. Let's go have lunch, blah, 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 whatever. And then all of a sudden, Wild Bill sits there and goes, probably the best acting that I've ever done is sitting here saying that, you know, we're still friends. And Tom Spade sits there and he's like, we are still friends. And he goes, Tom, you owe me $478,000.62 or something like that. And it just puts everything to perspective. And the whole time, Tom's sitting there trying to tell Bill how he would write this show to make Bill's character better. And Bill's like, that's really great. It would have been nice if you'd been writing the show, but you obviously aren't. Well, the last thing that Tom does for Bill is he rewrites the script for the TV show. And Bill sits there and goes, can we take one more take at this? After reading it exactly the way it was written, he sits there and does this other thing. And they're like, holy shit, Bill, that was really fucking good.
Yeah.
And then Bill goes back to his trailer and gets a phone call and finds out that Tom killed himself. And for anybody that's watched Heels, one of the prime things the entire time from episode 1, season 1, was that Tom killed himself. But it really, I mean, this is a guy that was supposed to have 2 meetings with Ted Turner, start working for WCW back in the day. For those wrestling fans that watch our show, you obviously know how big Ted Turner was in pro wrestling at that point. I love the fact that they did that with the show, where they actually tried to make it real.
Yep.
And say, hey, we're really going after the top guys that Vince can't get and whatever. Because, you know, in season 1, you really felt that Bill had gone to Vince McMahon and started working for him because he had that light up belt and everything else. And then all of a sudden he's walking around the plane, sitting there naked and whatever, and gets fired. Yeah, it pulls the Ric Flair. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this week, though, and Tino normally doesn't like me talking about Busted Open. Right. The night that Heels got canceled, Dave LaGreca from Busted Open immediately went to social media and said, cancel stars. #cancel stars. Dude, it was like one of the top 5 trends on X.
Really?
Because the Busted Open Nation, when they get behind something, and by the way, I agree, and here's why. Because the actors can't talk about the show, why even launch it? But on top of that, it was over 2 years after the first season launched. And the reason why was because, once again, stars fucked up. It wasn't anything to do with the actors. It wasn't anything to do with the production company or anything else. Stars fucked up because Stars had an argument with Lionsgate about who owned the property. So they had to figure all that out to be able to put it on TV. When they finally did it, it was right at the beginning of the fucking writer's strike. Was it ever going to succeed?
I hope somebody else picks it up.
I hope,
or at least give me a fucking movie to wrap this shit up.
That there, yeah, I know because folks, the fucking like spot where they left it, you're like, what the fuck? Like when they did that, I was like, this can't possibly be the last episode. Fucking end of season 2, and I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Yep.
Like I thought it was ramping up way too fast, and then it hit that moment, and I'm like, which is funny because the move that was done was not nearly as cool as the fucking what do they call it? The move that El Dorado and Crystal Tyler did.
The Spanish Fly.
The Spanish Fly. That Spanish Fly was fucking
phenomenal.
And then they have Jack Spade do a move to Ace Spade, who is the condemned in the final spot. And of course, the showrunner, the Rick, The Rick.
The Rick. It was funny, like, fuck you, Jack. Fuck you, Jack. He was cussing her, fuck you, Jack.
And Jack's just sitting there going, I can't feel my legs.
But I was like, because he's like, you get up. That's what they want. I'm like, is he really going to risk all this? And then it made sense. I'm like, oh. Because he said, I'm hurt.
Only the second time he did a fucking shooting star press. Like, yeah.
Damn Brock Lesnar, your ass. You dumbass.
You ready to talk about some wrestling?
Yeah, let's talk about some wrestling.
All right,
Which
folks.
company are we going to go with first? What do you think has the bigger news? WWE?
Oof.
With the two new signings, I guess?
You know what? Let's go with WWE because obviously WWE has the NXT show on Saturday, but AEW does have their show on Sunday.
And I also want to touch on some. So,
what do you want to say first?
The John Cena thing
Ooh.
didn't make sense to me at the end of SmackDown until I heard some news after SmackDown. So John Cena went in the ring. He got jumped by
the Bloodline.
Yeah, Solo Sikoa and
Jimmy Uso.
Jimmy Uso.
Not Jay.
Because
he's main event Jay.
I thought, because remember we talked about The Rock and the Bloodline not touching. They were screaming Rocky. I thought Rock was going to come out and help Cena. But what I found out afterwards, a day later, it was supposed to be L.A. Knight, who was not there because he tested positive for COVID.
Tino gave LA Knight COVID, by the way.
So it looks like
you gave him COVID. You gave him COVID.
Yeah. So,
let
me talk to you.
Hey, Tino's like, hey, LA Knight.
Let me talk to you.
Let me talk to you. Yeah.
Let me talk to you. Yeah.
I just want you to know, I gave you COVID. Like, how did you do that, man? He wasn't even in town.
No, damn it. So now it's going to be Cena and LA Knight. So I think
we don't know that.
That's what's going to happen.
So right now what is it broadcast as right now? Cena in a handicap match.
But if LA Knight had been there, it had been for COVID, that's the match they were going for.
So I don't know if that was originally the idea or not. I do think that is the end game with it. The reason why I say that is because the way that they left it, it left the idea of Rock.
Yeah.
Now, granted, you and I talked about this, like we said even last week. The reason why you don't include The Rock in any Bloodline stories because you really don't want it to cross-seminate or anything else. You don't want to have that moment because as soon as you do,
Roman's there.
Well, you need a payoff.
Yeah.
Like, The Rock could take out Solo Sikoa, and that would be fine. It doesn't have to include Roman or anything else, but you have to pay it off if you're going to start that. And that's why The Rock never touched anything Bloodline. No Paul Heyman, nothing. Because they don't want to sit there and get the fans believing that it's coming, right? And this is why you can pretty much write off that last week's appearance of The Rock was a one-off.
Here's what I think could happen. So you have to go back to when The Rock and Cena had that backstage.
I can't believe this thing.
It didn't open. The Rock and I'll probably get another one in a minute. I don't want to make your fingers all in it. But the Rock and Cena, remember they had that backstage segment where Cena and The Rock hugged and Cena said, "Welcome back," right?
Yeah.
So what if we're thinking that The Rock and
kind of open.
Yeah. If we're thinking that The Rock and Roman are going to meet at WrestleMania, so that's a possibility.
5%, but sure.
They could have Cena still fucking around with the Bloodline, and then they keep getting the best of him around Royal Rumble. They jump him one last time, and they've already taken. LA Knight's probably moved on. They're jumping The Rock. They're jumping The Rock. They're jumping The Rock.
Jumping The Rock or jumping Cena?
Jumping Cena. I'm sorry, Jumping Cena, and all of a sudden you hear, "If you smell," they do it at Royal Rumble time, and I think that'd be enough build up. Even if they could probably do it in December too, but that'd be a build up enough for them to go back and forth. He has to go through different combinations of Jimmy and the Uso, and they'll probably bring up another. I'm thinking they can bring up the younger brother.
No. You know what I'm
talking about?
Apparently, he's got the MLW guy or the one that's working with Booker T. Like, there's something like he got fired.
I think he did that so they can put.
They wouldn't have fired him. They would have just.
I don't think they fired him. I thought they released him. There's a difference in firing and releasing. I think Booker T let him go because they want him to come up in the bloodline.
No, Booker T would have gotten paid to sit there and take him. That would have kept his wrestling school going even longer. My feelings on it. No, there apparently is something like sketchy with that. The interesting thing is after WWE officially announced that Elimination Chamber is going to be in Sydney, Australia, or in Australia. I don't know if it's in Sydney. And they said that it's going to be the first time in like 6 years that they're there.
A-Town Down Under, a new tag team. They call them that A-Town Down Under.
You started. But the interesting thing is that there was an Australian newspaper that stated something about how it's possible that The Rock could show up at that event. And if, for example, LA Knight wins the Royal Rumble and chooses Seth Rollins, that means Roman still needs an opponent. Now, a lot of people think that means Cody is...
we still don't know who's switching to SmackDown.
So everybody thinks it's Cody. Then he will go against Roman. But it's just odd that this random, after the announcement of Elimination Chamber in Australia, to announce that like The Rock may show up is kind of weird.
Yeah.
And I think that's more a speculative thing than anything else. My feelings are like, Cody came out this week and said somebody from Raw has to go to SmackDown, and yet they still did the whole like, oh, Judgment Day music kind of bullshit, right? Like, and of course he's like, 2 weeks in a row, Cody Rhodes sits there, comes out and goes, main event Jey Uso. Like someone comes down. And it's like, why is he the one still sitting there? Like,
I look forward to Judgment Day coming down just so Dom get on the mic, they boot the shit out of
oh my God, dude.
That makes my week.
This week, though, Cody tried to talk. And the pumped in crowd noise or just the turned up booing.
I don't know if they're doing that.
Well, but he went to talk and they couldn't hear him. And that's not what they want, shit.
I'm waiting for and I think Rhea really is hurt. I don't think that's a day.
Dude, she's been gone for 2 weeks because of Nia Jax landing on her chest. She might have popped a boobie.
She might have.
She might have popped a boobie, folks. On top of that, though, man, we got lots of comments in the audience. Michael Turner saying, do not like Nia being back. The COVID is strong with this one. Rock versus Roman, WrestleMania 40, it's going to happen. Michael, I don't know if that's going to happen. I truly think that the appearance of The Rock 2 weeks ago now was specifically because The Rock just happened to be in town with Pat McAfee, and Pat McAfee said, hey, you want to show up on Raw? I'm going to be there. You want to go? And I think it really started with McAfee. I don't think that it was the WWE inviting The Rock or anything. No. Because, and you know what? I go back to how McAfee actually talked about it. And he was like, I was in Boulder. I looked up to see where my favorite Friday night show was going to be. And I said, I have to be here. And I bet he called Triple H. He probably texted him or whatever. Said, where's the corporate jet?
The corporate jet.
And you know what? Somebody else is like, Boulder's only an hour away. You don't need the corporate jet. I was like, where's the corporate helicopter?
They're like, no, bitch, you don't need that either.
No. I bet they probably put him in a corporate helicopter, got him there in 20 minutes. Pat McAfee? Fuck yeah, dude. Yeah.
In the car for him.
Especially when he said, hey, I got a special guest that wants to show up too.
Now, he had the Rock those in the car for him. I mean, those in the helicopter or the,
or the jet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, McAfee would get the jet at this point. Triple H would, if it's only an hour away, Triple H would send the jet. But McAfee and The Rock, fuck yeah, dude. Like, there's no way that they're not going to sit there and do whatever they can to sit there and say, hey, Dwayne, how about you show up? It's your show. Remember 20 years ago, you created the show. How about you show up? You remind the people that you did. But the rub, thank you, by the way. But the rub was Austin Theory getting his ass beat. You know, it wasn't like some of these guys where all of a sudden, like, The Rock comes out, blah, 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 and then all of a sudden they beat him down, and then he has to be carted out on a stretcher. Right? And it wasn't anything like that. Like he got his ass beat. Now, the fact that they didn't bring Grayson Waller out, and Grayson Waller had to sit there and say, hey, Rock, don't show up in Australia after that, all that announcement, which, by the way, I thought was even funnier. The fact that this announcement came out that they're going to do Elimination Chamber. Then the news article comes out saying The Rock might show up, and then you get Grayson Waller sitting there saying,
no, bitch.
No, don't even plan on that great one. Like, whatever. I thought that was pretty funny. The Nia Jax thing, you were just talking about it.
Yeah.
Since now we just talked about all the wrestling shows at one time. I don't know what to think about it, except one thing came up when I was hanging out with Terrence and CJ a couple days ago, and they said, what if all this Nia Jax beating every woman in the division down is to lead to Jade Cargill? My initial opinion, by the way, with Jade Cargill was that I immediately went, who could walk in the door and win one match immediately and make a statement? And that would be her beating Becky Lynch for the NXT title.
That. Or you know who else I want to see Jade against?
Bianca Belair. Well, she even said she wants Bianca at WrestleMania for a WrestleMania main event. But let's say we're not going to get that because, I mean, like, literally.
Yeah, but remember we were talking about because Rhea's so strong, and I was naming off names. That was before Jade came. Remember, I said I could see Baszler. I could see. Do
you want that one?
No, I can see Baszler. There's some. Piper Niven. But now, if Jade Cargill came.
Well, they again, Jade said she really sees her versus Bianca as a WrestleMania main event. I totally get that, but she's going to debut before then. Like,
I want to know if they're gonna put her NXT or if they're gonna let her do AJ Styles and pop on the main roster first.
So everyone thinks she's going to be main roster, but her beating Becky Lynch doesn't mean she's not main roster.
True.
Because Becky Lynch is main roster, and yes, she's the NXT champion right now, right? Dom, same thing. So I could totally.
Dom's about to lose that belt.
Dude.
You see Trick Williams?
I did not.
Yeah. I think Trick's going to win that belt because I think because he was trying to, because he won his first match, and then he's like, and then he went to the back and he was talking. I'm sorry, we're jumping.
No, we're still talking WWE program.
Did you watch NXT Tuesday?
I did not.
So
I watched some of it, but
he
not
won his
all.
first match,
right?
And then he came in the back and he was like, talking to Mello, and Mello was like, he's like, hey, man, are you listening to me? I was, yeah, man, I got all this. I got the contract signed with ILF, da. But yeah, you go to your thing, and then he walked away, and Trick goes, you got your title. I'm gonna go get mine. And then they show him going into Shawn Michaels' office. Now, in the meantime, there's going to be a triple threat to figure out who was going to face Dom at the pay-per-view Saturday. It was Big Strong Boy. It was Tyler Bate. I can't remember. Tyler Bate.
Now you know his name.
Tyler Bate.
I didn't really know Tyler Bate.
Tyler Bate. Axiom.
Yeah.
And Rey Mysterio looking motherfucker. Dragon Lee.
Yeah.
Well, they were and so
Batman.
What's his name? Trick Williams got himself a triple threat. It then became a 4-way. He won the 4-way. So
Saturday night,
and then they showed him again in the back with Carmelo. Like, yeah, we're gonna vote. You're gonna leave. I'm gonna leave the champion. You're gonna leave the champion. And Mel was like, yeah, but the way he was looking at him, I'm like, there's gonna be something. He's gonna win that fucking title, and then there's gonna be some.
Or he's going to lose, and he's going to snap, and he's going to go after Carmelo at the end of his match.
Yeah.
So he'll go after his title. Lots of stuff like that. So our Facebook group specifically mentioned this week that Jade Cargill is a huge signing for the WWE,
and she's keeping her name.
And we don't know that.
Yeah, she made it. She's interviewed that it's in her thing. Yeah, she's keeping her name.
Oh, okay.
She said because it's important for me to keep my name because they had another Jada
they might
Parker.
just call her Jade.
Yeah, but they had a Jada Parker, and everybody thought that was going to be her, but that was for somebody else. She goes, "No, I'm keeping my name."
So that's interesting.
She gets to keep Jade Cargill.
And let's be real, Triple H making those decisions makes more sense that she would keep that because. When you think about it, Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly,
AJ Styles.
AJ Styles was a Vince hire.
What about the two that came with them?
Gallows and Anderson. Gallows was still
Festus for a while.
Was Festus, but he also had Doc Gallows that he Anderson was a little bit different, but that was during one of the, it's cyclical like everything else. Think about it. And this is something, we didn't even talk about the roster cuts.
No, we'll get back to that because there's another name I think they're going to let him keep his name too. Which I liked
how they did it.
Yes. He said,
so let's just go ahead and talk about it.
So let me do this and then we can tell you who it is. So this dude has been rumored that he was coming from AEW to WWE. So I was watching, I don't know what show they did it on, but they showed
it was NXT.
A guy was walking in. I thought you didn't watch NXT.
But it was I saw the vignette.
He walked, there's a guy, and all you see is a shadow of this guy. He sits down in the chair, he turns on the TV, and it's a Bengals game. And then he flips the station, and then it's WCW. I'm like, that's cool. A lot of these young guys, these younger people might not get what that is, but us older guys got that.
They may still change his name.
I don't know. So, in case you didn't get it, it's Brian Pillman Jr. His dad, Brian Pillman, played for the Cincinnati Bengals, and he was a big star in WCW. So when they did those two channel switching things, I knew who it was right then.
Rumor is that Pillman Jr. is going to use the Loose Cannon name.
Sweet.
Which was the name that they gave him when he came to WWE.
His dad.
When Brian Pillman Sr. actually, his biggest feud obviously was against Stone Cold Steve Austin at the beginning of Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Because they were the Hollywood Blondes.
They were the Hollywood Blondes in WCW. And then when they both came over, I always love hearing that story because when they started feuding, Stone Cold Steve Austin was not a good guy.
No.
And he was getting cheered. And
isn't that when they were getting ready?
And Pillman backstage went up to him and goes, "Hey, look at you, kid. You're getting that baby pop." And he's like, "I ain't no baby. What are you talking about? I ain't no baby." And before you know it, like Stone Cold was like, "Shit, dude was right.
Yeah,
I'm the fucking baby." And I mean that was like when Pillman pulled out the gun and everything. Like when they
and his Melanie was Melody was his wife. Melanie or Melody? It's one of the two.
Melody sounds right. But yeah, there was all that craziness that went on with all of it. And unfortunately, this was when Brian Pillman Sr. was really struggling with like pain and everything else, and unfortunately didn't survive much longer than that. But like he came in as part of the Heart Foundation. He did all that. The Heart Foundation kicked him out. He sat there and went up against Stone Cold. Blah blah blah. I mean, like they really wanted him to be something special because him. Jade Cargill will keep her name in WWE. What is it?
Jada Parker Confusion Explains. They thought that was.
Gotcha. No. I'm completely okay with that. I think that it's important that top stars are able to do that. That I also think that it's completely okay for non-top stars to reinvent themselves if they don't think that they maxed out their popularity. So Jade is an interesting concept here because she obviously went 60-0.
Yes. Right?
She made it to the second tier, but they never gave her the opportunity to go after the women's championship.
Yeah.
And
do you notice?
Go ahead.
She's the only, and I'm trying to think before no, there's two.
Well, go ahead and say it.
African American to win a title. And I thought she was seasoned, but she's not because Scorpio Sky was the TNT champion.
Sure.
For the TBS. But those are secondary belts. They have not had a champion of color yet.
Well, you say of color, but like Sammy Guevara would be of color.
But he hasn't been a champion. Like a world
Sammy Guevara has
world champion.
But he's been the same champion that Jade was.
Yes. No, I'm saying, okay, I'm saying a major title. You know what I'm saying? Think about everybody who's held that women's title. Well,
how long was it for the WWE to finally like give an actual African American wrestler either the world heavyweight title or the WWE title? It was Kofi Kingston.
Yeah, because of what you can't really say The Rock.
I mean, The Rock sits there and says it was me.
Yeah, but
Ron Simmons
was
WCW.
He was the first.
Right, but so I don't really want to get into that because.
But I'm thinking maybe she's thinking they're going to push her. And, yeah, and it might not be, but you know what I'm saying. I'm just maybe they.
So Booker T. We forgot Booker T.
Booker T. But yeah, so yeah, that's just maybe that's what she's thinking. I don't know.
Carmelo Hayes.
In WWE, I'm saying in
in AEW, it's Scorpio Sky, sure. The Acclaimed. You had
they're tag teams. Okay.
But I mean they were the.
And I forgot about, you know what? I gotta take that back because Nyla Rose was a world champion. So I take that back. I was wrong. See, I had to think about it. So yeah, I was wrong. I apologize.
And Nyla Rose was like their first one.
Yeah.
Well,
second, I don't think I don't think in the
men's.
I don't think they have yet. They haven't.
I mean, at the top level, no.
Yeah.
I mean, because let's look at what the top level is. It was Jericho,
Omega, Adam Page,
Mox, CM Punk, Mox, CM Punk, Mox, MJF,
the Devil, and we'll talk. Yeah, okay.
And that's kind of where we are with that.
NXT.
when we talk about NXT champions, I mean, like I
Oh,
said,
yeah,
Carmelo right now.
Oh, I'm thinking about what else, anything happened that's on NXT. Oh, I forgot about SmackDown. One thing about SmackDown, when your boys,
This is why we put them all together.
Yeah, that's why I love that. The Street Profits lost, and Bobby Lashley came in that locker room and said, "Give me back the suits. Give me back." He said, "Well, you guys go back to catering."
Interestingly enough, Terrence, our buddy, Mr. Helios, that shows up in the chat here, mentioned that he watched The Bump this week.
Mm-hmm.
And Bobby Lashley was one of the guests. And Bobby Lashley talked about the Street Profits. And he was like, I don't understand why these guys aren't going for the World Tag Team titles on a weekly basis. And he was right. Like everything he said. And super articulate and super really nailing what he was talking about. Fact is, this is one of the things that I really truly like about the fact that they have the undisputed tag titles, and absolutely hate about the undisputed tag titles. Because here's the thing. The Street Profits have been gone for months. They finally rebranded them. They're finally starting to work. Well, guess what? You can't have the Street Profits, who are currently heel, going up against the Judgment Day, who are currently heel. Now, if you were to split the tag titles,
which is what I said they should do,
except I love the fact that the tag team champions can show up on both shows. So it's a positive and a negative, and it's a big negative when you know you have a team like the Street Profits that literally could immediately be the baddest dudes on the planet, at least on SmackDown.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And unfortunately, the fact that the Judgment Day is still going up against KO and Sammy, like this week, I was like, are KO and Sammy taking those belts back?
No.
And then they did. Good match.
You know they're not getting those belts back. Judgment Day's too hot right now.
Yeah, but they were hot. They were the hottest fucking thing.
But they weren't really doing anything with them because
Kevin
kept getting hurt, which it wasn't It wasn't any.
It wasn't any fault of their own. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, speaking of tag teams, I like what they did on SmackDown when they had Isla Dawn and Alba Fire saying, "Oh, the women's tag team belts are cursed." Well, who do you think would do something like that? Because they're supposed to be witches. I'm like, nice. I like it. Because they were champions and they lost the belt. They're trying to say they lost the belt. They put a curse on them. Well,
when they lost the belt, wasn't that when Rousey got hurt? Because they lost them to Rousey and Baszler?
Was it Rousey? Or was that when Liv went down? They lost them. No, they lost them to Baszler. Yeah.
And that was the match that Rousey got hurt.
But I think that was very, very smart for WWE to come back and tie that together.
Play it up some, yeah.
I like that. So I meant to text you when I saw them like that. That was smart. I like that.
The disappointing thing even about that though was that they were the NXT Tag Champions, and then they got rid of the NXT Tag Championships
because why won't they do that with the other two belts? You know what I'm saying? They took the NXT belt and the women's belt. They threw them together. Why can't they do that with the Universal? Like I said, but yeah.
Why can't they do it? Which one?
The ones that fucking Judgment Day had.
Oh, what? I'm okay with them actually being. Because it's kind of cool watching the two sets of belts.
You like watching that,
yeah.
But I also
in fact, the way that Damian wears it, where he's actually got the one wrapped around him and then he's got the one tucked into the other one, that shit's cool as fuck, dude. and then Finn's got both of them on.
Trying to be like Sammy.
Yeah.
But I like it, but I don't, because that goes back again. You're not pushing other talent. You know what I'm saying? If they had two separate belts, they would be able to have, like you said, that like you just said, the Street Profits are doing so good. We should reward them, right? So they should have.
But they're doing. Separate. But they are doing so good. But they literally just started doing so good 2 weeks ago.
Well, and that's an example. But you've got other tag teams that are coming up.
Agreed. But what I would start doing is I would start having all the tag teams complaining that they're not getting the tag championship chances. Have Adam Pearce sit there and say, well, I don't like just giving out title matches, so go after it.
That's kind of what they did on NXT, where they had all of them sitting at the table, and they're like, we can't just pick, so we're going to fight everybody.
Well, hell, he did it this week when he had the two women, Nox and Natalya go against each other. And I'm completely fine with that. I'd almost figure that at this rate, they might as well make Cody Rhodes the damn special ring guy, because like he's always like, well, you know, I did this and blah blah blah. And I love when Michael Cole actually made the statement of, well, he was a executive vice president.
Speaking of special guest referee, I forgot in that match with Dom and Trent Williams, they made fucking Dragon Lee a special referee.
So you think Trick Williams? No, I don't think Trick Williams is going to win, because I don't think Dragon Lee thinks that he can beat Trick Williams.
No, and no, Dragon Lee still got a problem with Dom because he jumped him.
He does, and they had the match this week. So I don't think Trick Williams is winning that belt. I think Dragon Lee is going to be like,
it doesn't matter if Dragon Lee counts to 3.
Exactly. So
we got to talk about the releases, because the one that's on the top of my head right now is motherfucking Matt Riddle, because I heard some shit about Riddle. I was watching
some shit.
First of all, they're like, this motherfucker, when he was in UFC, he only fight 3 times a year, and you can't even not smoke weed. So he got kicked out of UFC for drugs, and then he went on record in an interview, which I can't believe it. He said, "I smoke weed so I don't beat my wife and kids," or some shit like that.
So
I'm like, you ass.
I'm gonna come out right now and say,
if that's true,
as much as I like Matt Riddle, the fact that Dana White had a problem with him, no matter what was said, what was done, anything else, Dana White holds a high enough position in the overall TKO company to where if he just made a phone call to Vince McMahon and said, hey, you making cuts? You might want to think about cutting this guy. And I think that's what happened.
What happened?
Triple H, super high on Matt Riddle.
Really?
You can tell. When Triple H was running NXT, Matt Riddle was sitting there. They did the Dragon Pit matches and all those other shits. Like that Riddle is a Triple H guy. Word came out last week that Vince McMahon actually does have say over UFC decisions.
But that's UFC, though.
Right. But if Matt Riddle's not going to fight for WWE, where's the next place you think he'd go?
UFC.
You think he'd want to be in the UFC? Well, Dana White's already kicked him out of the UFC. Is basically what. So and I don't know this for a fact. Will not say it's a fact, but let's be honest. Our track record is really fucking good on this shit. So when I sit there and I say Dana White probably made a phone call and said, if you're making cuts, that guy needs to go. I think that's what happened. This may or may not have had something to do with Matt Riddle's whole thing at JFK or whatever.
That was stupid as fuck, too.
Well, we don't know.
If it's true.
I mean, the fact that they might have said he was causing a ruckus when he got off the plane, all of a sudden he sat there and said he got touched by a person and said, I didn't think that was funny. I didn't think that was something that should have been done. I mean, that's sexual harassment. That's, that's something that could be a bad thing. But specifically, I do think this had something to do with Dana White's specific feelings on Matt Riddle. And as such, Matt Riddle was let go. In fact, Matt Riddle's probably the first person that was let go in these uncertain times and everything else that specifically did not ask for his release at any point. Because we can sit there and say Dolph Ziggler never asked for his release, but that's not true. Dolph Ziggler actually asked, is it possible for me to start doing these different signings and these things and my comedy specials and everything else? And the WWE said, we want you to sign a contract. So he signed the contract. And Dolph Ziggler's downside guarantee was probably one of the biggest ones in WWE. So when this came down, they probably went, hey, we let Dolph go do his things, but we could probably sign him to less when we're going to use him. So Royal Rumble, this time, whatever. Or the fucker can go and wrestle with his brother if he really, really wants to. But his brother's nothing in AEW, so I do not think that's going to be the case.
But I think if Dolph comes, they'll probably package them.
Sure, but why? Does Dolph want to be AEW Tag Team Champion?
We're bouncing back and forth, folks.
But going with the names though, that Rick Boogs, after WWE's 33-year-old star rumored to continue Bray Wyatt's legacy. What?
They're bringing back to try to flush it out.
Oh, so they're bringing back his brother.
I was about to say, and that's who's going to play.
Okay.
That's who they're going to play.
Go ahead.
So we know Bray Wyatt passed away, and there's a lot of unresolved, stuff with his characters, and one of them is Uncle Howdy. So they're saying the WWE may bring back Uncle Howdy just to flush out some things and even be a character. And to play Uncle Howdy, it will be Taylor
Bo
Rotunda,
Dallas,
aka Bo Dallas.
Sure.
So I just found that, and I know you don't. I try to send you these, but you're not subscribed to this thing I have. So.
Right. So I don't ever get them because I can't buy into it.
But yeah, so sorry. Which I think would be kind of cool.
I mean, we all know that Bo Dallas was under contract. So utilizing him to do that would be cool. The question is it necessary? Like at this point, they gave Bray Wyatt his send-off.
But they gave Eddie Guerrero his send-off, but they still put that title on Rey Mysterio.
Well, Rey earned the title. I mean,
if Eddie hadn't died, and you're right, he deserved it. But if Eddie hadn't died, he wouldn't have gotten it when he did.
I mean, that's like saying when Edge got injured with his neck injury, Christian would have never made it to world champion.
He would have, but not as soon.
And you might, well, I don't know if he would have actually, but yeah, and that's one where I agree with you. Like the whole creepy little bastard actually making his way to beating Alberto Del Rio and then becoming a two-time WWE champ. I mean, he had to spit in Randy Orton's face to get that second one, But I don't see Uncle Howdy becoming WWE champion.
No, but
so I could see them bringing back. I could see them bringing back Bo Dallas, but I don't see any reason at all to bring Uncle Howdy. Like Uncle Howdy was a pretty bad,
but they never had a chance to build him.
Well, they never had a chance to build Bo Dallas either. And Bo Dallas, by the way, was the very first NXT champion.
No, Bo Dallas was at his best on the B team. I would still say, and I love the B team. Him and fucking
Curtis Axel.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That was awesome. That was underrated.
I made a T-shirt. It's on my TeePublic page right now. The B team, and it was like the A team logo, except it's at a B. Yeah. And how did the WWE never do that T-shirt?
Probably could.
Because I owned it. Because I made it.
Yeah, you probably could have said, you know what? I think they're a little more powerful than you. They'd be like, you know what?
But let's talk about some of the other releases.
Braun Strowman, we saw that coming.
Wait, Braun Strowman got released?
Yes.
I didn't see that one.
Either he did or he was on the chopping
Well,
block.
he got released the last time, but he's out with a neck injury.
I think I read somewhere they're going to be released. He's on the list. If he hadn't been released, he's on the list to be released.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I need to see this.
So it was a bunch of NXT people too, which I never heard of. I thought I read somewhere that he was on the cutting block.
Strowman was. Hold on, let me make sure that let me see when the actual article came in that they say this. Braun Strowman has opened up about his release in 2021. I don't think Strowman's actually released. I think it's because he's out injured, so they can't release him until he comes back because he had neck surgery.
So Mason Mansoor out.
Mansoor
And Mace.
And Mace, yes, Mache, not Mace anymore. You know what I heard? I was listening to a show and they were like, I believe Retribution is finally ended.
Wow.
There's no chance for Retribution to finally take over the WWE.
No.
And I was like, well, Dijak's still there. But
Dana Brooke.
She tried as hard as she could, but you know what? It was time for her to go.
Mustafa.
So, okay. Let me just go ahead and say this. Every single person that you are going to mention at one point or another asked for their release.
Shelton.
Except for Shelton. And Shelton probably did, but he probably did it quietly. Elias definitely did. If you're not going to use me, let me go.
Valentina Faraz. I think she was one of the two Hispanic ladies in that tag team at NXT.
Right.
Oh, what's his name? Did you already say? You said Boogs. Who's the other big fucking dude? Riddick Moss. Madcap Moss.
Yeah.
He got released.
Yeah, Madcap had asked for it. Emma.
Dolph. Alex Gray. She was a NXT. She was with Chase U.
So the NXT people probably might not have asked for the releases, but probably sat there and said, am I going to get a push? And when they didn't, probably said, whatever you want to do. But the rumor is that the people that got released actually asked for their release. And I believe that this time.
Okay.
It didn't really feel like any of the people that were released were really surprising.
No.
The only ones that seemed surprising was Shelton Benjamin, who wasn't being used. Dolph Ziggler, who really wasn't being used. Elias, who also wasn't being used.
It's Rob's brother, dude. I wonder if kept his brother.
Well, that's the question: is did Ezekiel get kept? But then you know, everyone that I just mentioned. But otherwise, everyone else had asked for their release.
Right.
And if I had to guess, I would say Elias actually asked for his release when he became Ezekiel.
All right, here they are. Dolph Ziggler, Elias, Mustafa Ali, Shelton Benjamin, Top Dollar, Riddick Moss, Emma, Aaliyah, Rick Boogs, Quincy Elliott.
Don't know that was.
Yes, you do. The big dude, the diva, the big dude on NXT, the big black dude who's dressed up in like everything was bedazzled. You know him if you saw him.
Probably.
Bryson Montana, don't know that. Dana Brooke, Mansoor, Mace, Shanky, Dabakato, Yulissa, Leon, Danielle McCarthy.
Dabakato?
Yes.
Notice how it took me like a second to
Yeah.
register that one?
Kevin Ventura Cortez. I don't know who that. I want to be related to Jesse. Alex Gray, Brooklyn Barlow, Akeem Jiro. That's his
the guy with the jacket.
Yeah, he got let go.
Trained by Tajiri.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Abule Abdade Fitzgerald. I don't know who that is. And Matt Riddle.
And Matt Riddle was a late addition to that. Like after everything else came down on like Friday, Riddle was announced on like Sunday. The one that so I thought it was interesting was Emma had just posted about WWE doing Elimination Chamber in Australia.
He had to go back.
And she posted a reply to her own message that said, "Never mind. I've been released by WWE again." Which the weird thing about that is that WWE is well known for signing you for one day to bring you back. And since they're paying you for 90 days during these releases anyway, they can bring you back for a one-day thing if it's within that time period. Now, granted, Elimination Chamber will be after the 90 days, but what's Emma going to be doing? I mean, she might just sign a one-day contract to show up in her hometown working for WWE and do the...
She'll go back to Impact.
Do that weird...
She wasn't even doing that when she came back.
No, but they probably make her do it. No. Just for that one.
She'll go back to Impact.
Which is doing amazing right now. Really good shit. I don't have their channel, but apparently they, their 1,000th episode and everything else.
It was good.
They really did good shit.
That's what I got. We probably get the AEW.
We do.
Anything else?
I just want to reiterate real quick that those WWE cuts, everyone's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe they cut these people." The only one that's really surprising is Matt Riddle and Shelton Benjamin. Like Dolph Ziggler, like I said.
And Dabakato, you were talking about that one.
Oh, I was just joking. But Dolph Ziggler had asked for his release, and they were like, "No, we're going to offer you a contract that you can't refuse," and he signed it.
And they said, "I just kidding."
And yeah, he's like, "Oh yeah, never mind, whatever." But Dolph has been there 20 years. He probably had a downside guarantee of like $2 million.
Wow.
And it's because and when was the last time they used him?
Not much, really, because since what's his name went down, the Dirty Dogs, Rude went down, they hadn't really used him.
I remember Vince used him before Vince wasn't in control, and Vince used him to become NXT champion.
Yes.
After that, Dolph's had like 3 matches. I think he had a match against Ciampa.
Possibly.
Or Gargano. Or
cheating.
Yeah. But like, they really hadn't used him. Elias is kind of surprising because that fucker was over. I mean, over. Like we could talk about Rusev Day and whatever and see where Miro is now, where he's in the exact same position he was in WWE.
Walk with Elias.
But Walk with Elias, which, by the way, was a John Cena statement. And he said, "You should make them say Walk with Elias and blah, blah, blah." That motherfucker literally was supposed to have a concert at Gramercy Theater in New York City. What the fuck? How do you let that go to nothing? Rumor is that the Gramercy Theater thing wasn't approved by WWE, and because of that, somebody got pissed off.
Oh, fuck them. They still could have used that to their advantage.
You're damn right.
So because Vince didn't do it, it can't happen.
So if I were AEW hasn't changed their rating numbers at all since CM Punk showed up, right? So they do anywhere from 800,000 to 990,000. They don't really touch that $1 million number anymore, or that million unit number anymore. So there's two names out of all those people that I think they could bring in and try to get more numbers. It's the only two people that can use their real name. Matt Riddle and Shelton Benjamin. Other than that, everybody else that they bring in, they could bring in Mustafa Ali, but he'd be Adil Akam or whatever his name is. Guess what? Not moving the needle. Not changing the game. Not changing ratings.
So why do you think just because they can use real names, because people will know, they'll recognize the names and they'll start watching because they recognize? Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but true. The fact is that a guy like Chris Jericho can move the needle. A guy like CM Punk can move the needle.
That's not his real name. I don't know how he kept that. Jericho.
Because he owned it all. Jericho owned that name since he was in WCW, so he owned it all along. So when WCW got bought and everything, he already owned it because he was Jericho in Japan. He was Jericho in ECW. So WWE couldn't do anything about it. He was Chris Jericho. Because would Chris Jericho have been as good as Chris Irvine? Probably not. You know what I mean? And that's the same thing. Like Matt Riddle is Matt Riddle. He was Matt Riddle in the UFC. He's Matt Riddle in NXT. He's Matt Riddle on Raw.
Rousey and Baszler and all that.
Exactly. It wasn't during one of those moments where WWE sat there and said, we're going to change your name. Because think about it. Kevin Steen. Kevin Steen is what he would be when he leaves. Guess what? Not going to be as over with the 2 million plus audience on a SmackDown if he goes over to a 700,000 audience on AEW.
That people who probably still know who Kevin Steen is.
Yes and no. And that's the problem. And that's what we run into. You look at Adam Cole. Adam Cole is pushed to the moon in AEW right now. Anytime they wanted to make an announcement, who was the one on the microphone making the announcement for Tony Khan? It was Adam Cole. And the reason why is because his name is recognizable both in WWE and AEW.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Bryan Danielson is not as recognizable as Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan was on a show on E! He was on WWE programming. But then you move.
I think that's pushing because Daniel Bryanson and Bryan Daniels still sounds close enough.
Kind of.
People know.
But still, when you see it on a card or whatever else, it's like that guy looks familiar. But it's not the same. You know what I mean? Like
that one's pushing it.
Well, dude, think
that one's pushing it.
Number way to sit there and say this is this. When it was just Dwayne Johnson being in a movie.
Oh no, I see what you're saying, but I'm saying Bryan Danielson and Daniel Bryan sound so close. People know.
They don't though. And different theme music, different this. That's why
Jeff still got the same theme music.
Well,
they
now, but like Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy having Jeff Hardy's name and Jeff Hardy's theme music. Except for
his music.
Except for the fact that like he keeps screwing up to where it fucks everything up. Like that's something else. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. AEW.
Don't like that.
I like how you started it.
The Young Bucks are already the motherfucking 6-man tag team champions. And now
Ring of Honor
6-man. Now they have a chance to be tag team champions. Why don't you just fucking give them all the belts? Why don't you let Omega come back and get his fucking belt and be the champion again? Why don't you let fucking Hangman give him the fucking TNT belt? And then let the Young Bucks have all of the fucking tag belts because that's what they want. They want all the goddamn belts. And then if you get a woman in there, maybe they bring in some bitch, and then she can be the TBS champion. Then the Elite will have all the fucking belts. And then we can go on with this circle jerk mouthful of cum Tony Khan's got.
Friends, I just want to go ahead and point out that Tino and I did not discuss this in advance. But I agree with him. But I want you to get angry about it. Go ahead.
I
Talk.
got angry last week.
No. Get
it because I don't lose my mind. What? I'm just no. I already said. I said what I said. But you know that's what's gonna fucking happen.
Well, here's what I hated. I looked at the card for Dynamite last night, and I saw that one of the Jacksons was in a 4-way dance, and one of the Jacksons was in a 3-way dance.
Yes.
And I was like,
both for belts, qualifying. One is now Matt Jackson. No, it's Nick Jackson. Now gets to face fucking Sarah Merrill's brother for that All Atlantic belt. No, Ray Phoenix. He's facing Ray Phoenix,
right, Phoenix
for the Atlantic belt.
You know what? Great. Let Phoenix break his fucking neck when he sits there and does a fucking bad fucking pile driver.
No.
No, you don't want that?
Nick won't sell it.
Well, his neck's broken. He'll have to.
Now, I'm gonna hit you with a super kick and I'm winning the belt, bitch. With a broken freaking neck.
So,
he won't sell it.
He won't have a choice if he breaks his neck.
Super kick party.
He'll be like, Rick Knox, pick me up, pull my leg up, kick him in the face.
Look, Rick Phoenix, lay your ass down. Or you're fired. Lay down and you're fired. Bitch.
I mean, considering it's been proven that Jon Moxley literally sat there and said to Rick Knox when both of his shoulders could not move off the mat, "Oh, fuck you." After he was concussed and took a bad pile driver,
like,
which, by the way, I will admit, okay, after last week, our argument about the pile driver was not what actually ruined that match.
Oh yeah, we went back and watched it.
Well, it wasn't until Scott actually pointed out that it was something that Phoenix did earlier in the match, like even before the pile drivers.
But we looked even when you said when we went back and looked at it,
I was like, it didn't look as bad. Now the initial video that I saw from our Facebook page, mm-hmm. It looked like that thing did the same thing as Stone Cold's neck at whatever. So I'm glad to hear that it's not a neck injury, but it was a concussion.
Oh yeah, this was concussed.
But Moxley, so you know what? Let's go ahead and talk about this. Moxley last week got concussed like almost immediately.
He got concussed, but he didn't bleed. He probably forgot to bleed because he was concussed. I can't. Rick Knox, come blow on my forehead.
Well, the question has been coming up is Rick Knox responsible for how bad this match went down? And I got to be honest with you, I don't think Rick Knox is responsible. Mm-hmm. I think what is responsible is the lack of communication between the wrestler and the referee. And here's why. Because
tricky comments. Wait, go ahead.
And I totally agree with Tino at all bullshit. Give them all the damn belts.
Thank you, Michael.
And just get it over with. You are totally right, though. No, don't ever give the Young Bucks any more belts ever.
That's what's going to happen. Though,
I know, and it's going to make me stop watching the program. I already don't like watching them. And it wasn't always that way. There was a time where I enjoyed the Super Kick Party. Mm-hmm. But when they ended up with all the belts and everything, and then all of a sudden they became executive vice presidents and all that other. But fuck that.
I like Kenny when he was North Carolina. I like Kenny then.
Well, I like Justin Roberts calling him out for being from North Carolina. But yeah.
But Rick Knox, you're saying Rick Knox is responsible.
So.
Or not responsible, I don't think.
Well, here's where I think the miscommunication was. Is that the match, they knew something was wrong with Moxley, right?
They should have stopped it.
Except AEW doesn't really do that. So when they got into the ring and Moxley took the pile driver,
Which you shouldn't.
no. He felt that he was safe in the hands of his opponent. He said, go home, right? So do the pile driver. Pile driver gets done. Rick Knox sits there, goes underneath the shoulders, says, no.
His shoulders were down.
And Moxley sits there and goes, oh, fuck you. Like, that's what he said. Moxley, when his shoulders hit the ground initially, should have said, go home. I'm hurt. Nothing anyone sees or shows Moxley sitting there saying, I'm hurt, go home. So there's a possibility that Rick Knox thought that Moxley was going into business for himself and was saying, I'm down, count to 3, get it over with. Give him the belt, and everybody goes home. But that wasn't the way it was written. The way it was written was Moxley supposed to win this match. So if Moxley's shoulders don't come up, a referee's job is to sell the job, right? So if Moxley doesn't tell him in that moment, I'm hurt, my shoulders are down, go home, and all he says is, oh, fuck you, what's Rick Knox supposed to do? Like, I don't care how incompetent that son of a bitch is as a referee, okay? Like, and by the way, people are sitting there saying he's incompetent online. Yes, he misses calls all the time. He's legitimately looking at people that hit other people with chairs and whatever and doesn't call the match as a disqualification, partly because AEW's whole thing is we don't end matches on disqualifications. Whatever the fuck the case is. But you can't fault him if the person on the mat doesn't sit there and say, I can't move my shoulders.
Yeah.
You can't fault him for that. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong here. But here's the fact. If his arms aren't moving and he goes, oh, fuck you, I'm sitting there thinking he's saying, oh, fuck you to the guy that just dropped him on his head rather than the referee not counting to 3.
Mm-hmm.
Am I right?
Yeah.
So this is a completely different opinion as to what we talked about last week. At the same time, Moxley no longer has a match on Dreamwave or whatever the fucking paper, Dreamweaver or Dreamweaver.
Dreamcast.
We will have a pay-per-view on Sunday night. No?
Don't do that.
Dreamweaver.
So that's one.
They need Dana Carvey and Mike Myers to sit there and announce that pay-per-view, Dreamweaver.
No. So that's one problem I had with AEW this week.
But you had a real big problem with the Young Bucks.
That was my problem.
Right.
My little thing. Yeah, that was what I'm pissed off about.
That's what you should, because they fucking suck.
And
I'm tired of them motherfuckers.
Next we got.
What did you think of Sammy Guevara with his Scarface looking entrance video now?
Bitch. His wife probably came up with that.
Maybe. But I did like the Scarface video.
I like when they went to. I gotta give it to Callis when they went to that dojo. You all right? Got home?
Yeah, I must have.
They went to the dojo and whooped his ass in his own dojo. I'm like, oh, that's fucked up. He hit that bitch in the face with a kettlebell. I was like, God. I was like, ouch. I was like, and then he choked him out with a leather jacket. I'm like, the bitch is already knocked out. You hit him with a kettlebell in the fucking face. I can try to choke him with a leather jacket. And then he had a leather jacket in the ring How did you get that back? Because you left it in the ring when you left the dojo, and then now you're on the show wearing the same other jacket. The fuck did that happen?
So we also had on Collision, we had a Texas death match between Bryan Danielson and Ricky Starks. And basically became Ricky Starks' second loss in a row to Bryan Danielson, even though they're trying to promote Ricky Starks as like a world champion caliber wrestler. So does that do that?
Well, no, because now he's got to face fucking Will Yuta. The fuck is, why are they sacrificing Ricky? If Will Yuta beats his ass, I'm done. Ricky Starks is done.
Well, I think he's going to beat Wheeler Yuta's ass. I think, in fact, I'd almost put money on it being like a squash.
You think he's going to beat Will?
I think Big Bill's going to come down and hit him. The problem I have with that, like you just said, how are you supposed to take him seriously when he beat a guy with a broken arm, or he lost to a guy with a broken arm twice? Mm-hmm. Like, how are you supposed to take him seriously? Here's a guy that, like, we literally thought was going to be pushed to the moon, and all of a sudden, because of the CM Punk thing, now I give Bryan Danielson all the credit in the world. He sat there and said, Ricky Starks called that strap match the entire way. I followed him. I did everything he did, and he protected me because he wasn't ready yet. I totally get that. But how do you repay him? You beat him in a fucking Texas death match. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, we're all sitting there going, when are they going to start pushing the homegrown talent? And what do? They take a WWE guy, and he sits there and goes, this is my show.
Well, I think that's the thing, that because Tony Khan, when he lost CM Punk, he needed another big name. And Bryan Danielson is CM Punk now. He's the headliner and star of that show now.
Well, you know my laugh and my joke to that is this. You ready for it? When CM Punk left the WWE, who got pushed to the main event at WrestleMania?
Oh, fuck. I forgot about that. Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan always getting those sloppy seconds.
So Tony Khan sat there and literally went back to the well and said, well, shit, when CM Punk disappears, the only guy we can push, Bryan Danielson.
Apparently, this is the last year because he promised his daughter he retired.
I don't think he's going to retire. I don't. I think, and this is because a lot of wrestlers have actually said they feel as long as he's healthy enough to go, he will continue to wrestle. However, I don't think he's going to wrestle the schedule that he's been wrestling while he's been healthy. At the same time, if he was working for WWE, the amount of time he's been out in AEW, they'd be adding it to his contract. Mm-hmm. And if I had to guess, I think AEW is doing the same shit. It's not a bad thing. I mean, like, the question is whether or not, like, think about it. He's literally working one day a week. Mm-hmm. So why is, like, he can do that, right? Like if you could work one day a week, make all the money that you needed to support your family, and see them 6 days a week, would you do it?
Oh yeah, I do.
Well, I think that's what he's probably thinking too. Especially since he's going to do WrestleCade, which is a 3-day weekend that he's probably going to make, if I had to guess, his entire annual salary.
Yes.
In a 3-day weekend. So
I'm trying to find this because there's something. So a couple of things.
Well, let's. Can we talk about the big elephant?
What?
So okay. Adam Cole's injury.
Yes.
Is it real?
No.
You don't think that he really broke his his foot in 3 places?
I think he sprained it. I think he hurt his ankle, but I don't think it's shattered.
So okay, so that's gonna ask the next question. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Who was under the mask?
And that's what I'm thinking. So the firm, and that's what I was looking up here. So Lee Moriarty.
The firm.
Remember that was MJF. Remember when he was Stokely Hathaway?
Yeah, Stokely. Yeah.
So and that was
So can I tell you something?
And also something that's also 2 other. Yeah, you say yours, but it's also 2 other names that I don't think that you. So it's Ethan Page, Morrissey, Lee Moriarty, and the Gun Club. So
all right.
Go ahead, finish what you're saying, because I got something else.
This is fun. So Chris at Ruckus tonight, sat there and said,
I don't think so, but
how about you guys start writing down your actual like predictions on these things and see who ends up correct, because he wants to actually start like rating
he wants you
it.
to write it down.
Well, Terrence wrote it down.
Okay.
So when it came to this, there was me, there was CJ, there was Terrence, and they were like, "Who do you think was under that mask? Is it MJF?" And I'm like, "No." They were like, "Is it?" And Terrence started saying, was it Stokely Hathaway? Stokely under the mask?" I'm like, "No." And he's like, "Well, who do you think it was?" I'm like, "All right." Initially, I said it was Roddy Strong, because that would give Roddy the ability to sit there and say to Adam Cole, "Look, MJF's still doing this stuff. He's still acting like a fool. He's still being the mean guy. He's still doing blah blah blah." And that is meant to, because if you look at how many people there were, it looked like it was the Kingdom and Roddy Strong, right? And then I said, but I think there was actually 3 guys plus 1.
There's a big, tall motherfucker.
Well,
there were 2, and there's 1, and that's why. Go ahead, I'm gonna let you finish yours, and I'm gonna tell you.
So there's a rumor online that it's Adam Copeland, just because like AEW's already said that starting Sunday there's going to be a new evolution in pro wrestling and all this other stuff. But I started thinking about it a little bit, and I'm like, I really want it to be Roddy Strong, because then he can sit there and tell Adam Cole how bad like MJF is. But then I came up with this idea, Tino.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah, and why?
Well, because Kyle and Roddy have just as much history with Adam Cole as anybody else. But Kyle O'Reilly's been gone for so long that people are starting to forget about him. So what's the best possible way to bring him back?
I don't think it's O'Reilly.
But bringing him back is part of Roddy's thing, but maybe even making him the leader of Roddy's thing immediately puts him in the sights of Adam Cole and MJF. And here's the even better thing. You don't have to have it be Kyle O'Reilly tomorrow. You have to have it be Kyle O'Reilly when Adam Cole comes back. Because CJ said, I think it's Adam Cole, because he doesn't think that Adam Cole's actually injured. And I'm like, well, fuck, Britt Baker's the one sitting there posting the 3 broken bones in the foot.
Adam Cole jump switchblade. I still think it's
got you thinking though, didn't it?
I still think it's firm, because you got that one big guy that can be
Big
Morrissey. Yeah. Then you have Lee Moriarty. Then you have the Gun Club. Now the Gun Club would be interesting, because while yes they are in the faction with the the Bullet Club Gold, they're not really they're second fiddle. and they don't get pushed like the other two. And I can see where they're like, well, you don't give a shit about us.
Chris Barrett earlier said that his boy in WWE TKO said that Shelton won't be back. I've got to see that. Gotta go to an orthopedist tomorrow. Oof.
What?
I hope Chris Barrett's doing okay. He said he had to go through an orthopedist tomorrow. I feel bad that we didn't actually talk to Chris Barrett at all. But yeah, who do you think was under the MJF mask? The devil mask, if you will.
I guess.
You think it's someone from Stokely's group?
Yes.
Okay. Specifically speaking, if you had to claim it was one person, who would you say it is?
Ethan Page.
Based on body shape and everything else, that's not a bad choice. What's funny is the group was like, well, it could be Adam Copeland, it could be blah blah blah, and I'm like, here's the thing. I know on Wednesday night it was not Adam Copeland because he's still under WWE contract and he's not allowed to show up. So somebody else was wearing the mask that night, even if it shows up as Edge.
It wasn't Skeletor.
It wasn't Skeletor that night, but the body shape didn't really match up either.
Yeah.
And let's be real, if Adam Copeland shows up, if they're able to use the name Edge, whatever,
I think he's coming after Christian.
The question is whether or not he shows up as a bad guy to join Christian, at least initially, and then they become a tag team that goes after whatever as heels, or if he's the guy. Because I'm sitting there thinking,
even if he came in as a bad guy and teamed up with Christian,
that they get booed.
No, yeah, people will still cheer him.
I think they would cheer him, and that's part of the problem. That's why, like, what I would hope is he would be the guy that would sit there and come out and be like, "Hey, what's going on with you? I can't retire and watch you do this. You are better than this, blah blah blah." And then like try to get Christian to turn. Because I'd almost see them actually wrestling matches against each other.
Yeah.
Before finally like someone else would beat Edge down, and then Christian would finally make the save, being like, I can't let you go through this. You know, like that's kind of what I would want to anticipate. Or Christian gets beat down by somebody else, random, like Luchasaurus or whatever, and finally like Edge comes down to make the save for him. But honestly, I don't want to see Edge be part of AEW because there's so many people that I don't think they do correct with.
I could see him going to, like you said, Impact.
I don't know if I'd see Edge in it. Well, I maybe, but the WWE contract offer has to be better than that.
I'm probably going to AEW.
I mean, the rumor I saw today is that the possibility of Adam Copeland going to AEW is bigger now than it was 2 weeks ago, and he has the WWE contract in hand. And at this point, I have to assume it's up to him to sit there and say, hey, this is what they're offering.
Yep.
And whether or not WWE sits there and goes, well, we can offer this.
Yep.
And I don't know if this early in the TKO merger, if WWE is ready to do it. And is it really going to affect how popular the WWE is to see Adam Copeland somewhere else, because he can't be Edge somewhere else?
Yeah.
And exactly what I was talking about earlier, right? Like, this would be different if it was Matt Riddle main eventing WrestleMania earlier this year, and then Matt Riddle showing up at Dreamwave or Dreamweaver or Dream.
Hey, shut up. What else we got?
I don't know. I almost think that we should get off of here so we can watch the first episode of Gen V.
I'm gonna go.
Well, I'm gonna watch the first episode of Gen V regardless, but Dreamwave, I think is what it's called.
I can't spell. I'm trying to figure out what it's
called.
Let
me see.
Dream PPV. Let's do that.
AEW Dream is what I would sit there and post.
Wrestle Dream.
That's a horrible fucking name.
That's what it's called. Wrestle Dream.
Tony Khan must have really been like, let's do Wrestle Dream.
I mean, it's more like, what do you guys think?
Wait, what? So, all right.
So like, what do you guys think?
We already talked about heels being canceled, but you know what I thought about asking if you wanted to do at the beginning of the show was the 10 bell salute for canceling our favorite show.
So fucking fun. Yes.
So folks, we are going to give the 10-second salute to our favorite show on Stars.
We definitely are. Okay, ready?
Ready?
I don't remember which one it was.
I almost started laughing, by the way. I really hope that
they get their shit together.
Well, that busted open, and they're pushing for. By the way, the thing that they told everybody to do was #cancel Stars, and I don't think that it should have been #cancel Stars. It should have been #renew heels, right?
Okay.
So I would like to see everybody try to get #renew heels back out there, because I know that Stephen Amell was a huge fan of it. Alexander Ludwig, who played Ace, was a huge fan. CM Punk, AJ Lee.
Well, I hope they were a huge fan of it. They worked. That's their show.
Yeah, but they actually, so they're not allowed to talk about it until the strikes are done. So like Stars sitting there saying, well, we canceled it because the ratings aren't good. Well, motherfuckers, you guys
couldn't promote it,
didn't advertise it, and then it wasn't promoted. Like, how the fuck is the show gonna do anything 2 years after the first season's over when you didn't even tell everybody it was coming? Fuck them.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I think I'm about done.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I know, but I wish you would actually go on that kind of rant when it comes to the Young Bucks. But Tino, why don't you tell everybody how to reach us and how to enjoy our
I don't waste my time on these motherfuckers. Anyway,
not the Young Bucks. I mean our fans and our friends.
I'm not wasting my time on no fucking.
Yeah, but after I said what I said, it made it sound like you were like,
"Oh no,
I ain't wasting my fucking time on them motherfuckers."
I'm still.
You going heel on us? You going heel?
I'm still going off on the Elite. I apologize. You can find him on Twitter. Fuck it, I ain't calling it X because that's stupid.
No.
You can find him on Twitter at PotCheck. I'm HoodieFan91. We're Potsy and Tino. Facebook, Potsy and Tino Show. You can find me on the Insta, SC Tino. You can find him at Rob Potsy PotCheck. That's it?
Yep.
All right. And then you can find us here each and every week right here on YouTube. Also, via Facebook when we do it this way. Please make sure you subscribe, like our, hit that like button and buy our shit. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Burping.
Oh, and like our shit or buy our shit. We want to say thank you to Adam's House Cat for the wrestling song. You can get it on iTunes for 99 cents 99. What am I forgetting? Am I forgetting something?
No, you're not. Actually, I sent you something, and completely off topic. I sent you something, and I can't show it yet, but I sent you something that I designed for friend of the show, Sean the Ref.
You sent me a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, but I sent you an actual design for.
Oh yeah, I did like that. That was awesome.
Yeah, so our friend Sean the Ref, the Iron Ref, I can't show it yet. Yeah. Asked me yesterday to try to come up with like a design for him, and I asked him. I said, "Do you have a logo yet?" And he goes, "No." And I said, "Well, we got to design you a logo shirt before we design you like an actual like drawing shirt or whatever." So I designed that, and I was like, I put it on a blue background, and he was like, "Well, that's really cool." I was like, "Yeah, but like everybody does their shirts on black, right? Like this." And he goes, "Yeah, I really want it on a black shirt." I was like, "Dude, everybody does it on a black shirt." I said, "How cool would it be to start seeing like 30 or 40 red shirts with your logo?" And he's like, "Well, let's see what it looks like." And I was like, "Oh, easy." And I just sat there and posted it with the red one and sent it to him. And he goes, "Shit, dude, that looks great." Right. And I was like, "Oh, it'd be even better though." So we did it in the light blue that like the old WCW referee shirts were in. Remember how they used to like WWF used to have the black and white?
Oh yeah.
And WCW used to have the blue. Yeah. And I was like, imagine if we did it on the light blue. And he's like, oh. But I sent you the red one. But yeah, so be on the lookout, because this isn't my first shirt design that I've done for a pro wrestler or somebody in the pro wrestling business. Sean Pittman is absolutely a buddy of mine. He's the one that actually let me referee the match at Fayetteville a couple of years ago. He's not going to be in Fayetteville this year, but he did say I'm going to get my Iron Ref shirt from him, because he's going to hand it off to somebody else to give to me at the show. But yeah, so we already mentioned. Are there any other socials we need to mention?
Nope, that's it.
Our theme song was brought to us by.
I did it already.
No, I'm just giving him another plug.
Adam's House Cat.
Until we either have Mikey Ruckus or Tino Gray actually do our theme song. Tino Gray's doing it, right? When's that coming?
All right. Don't rush me, bitch. I'm doing it. Don't rush me, bitch.
Folks, thank you so much. We're
desperately out of time.
Desperately out of time. And with that said, I'm looking for the outro. Here it is, and we'll see you next week.
Don't go frogging.
No frogging. No frogging.
Might not be frogging in your house. Check the bathroom. Don't knock on the door.